Is Mike Ferry. Welcome to Business Planning 25, Part 3. And in Part 3, we're going to look at the actual plan itself. 1985, doing a management retreat in Newport Beach, California. We had 400 brokers and managers and leaders in the room. There really were no team leaders in 1985, so when I say broker, managers, and leaders, I'm talking about the leadership of the industry. And I brought up on day 2 a simple question because it's something that I believed in, and that is, I said, how many of you have a written business plan for the calendar year? And I think it was 1985. And I think 3 or 4 hands went up, and one of the participants put up their hand and said, what do you mean by business plan? I said, well, do you have any goals for gross commission income? Do you have any goals for how many agents you're going to bring on staff? Do you have any goals for the time you're going to spend helping agents improve the quality of their life? Do you have any goals for how many transactions you want to do? Goals for listings taken? And the guy goes, whoa, hold on. I'm trying to write all these down. I said, well, let's do this. The hardest thing in running a company is putting together a strong business plan. One of the easier things we can do is create a plan for our agents. And then we take the summation of the agents' plans, put them together, and we basically then can decide upon what we're going to do as a company and how realistic are the agents. So the plan we have is 5 to 6 pages. It's pretty simple. And we've had it now from 85, 95, 05, 015, 40 years we've been talking about this business plan to people like yourselves. And it's been interesting because my competition has taken this 6-page plan and turned it into 20 pages, 25 pages, 35, 45, 50 pages, which is a book. I don't want you to write a book. I want you to write down the numbers, how you're going to accomplish the numbers, keep it as simple as possible, make it as common sense oriented so you can then accomplish the plan that you've set for yourself. So part 1 of our plan is called the 2024 recap. And I'm going to read to you the 15 different numbers that I want you to put together on this first page of the plan. And I'm going to suggest to you, you don't go to page 2 until you've completed page 1. And this will probably take a couple of days, not of you doing it full time, but sourcing the information. Now, if you had a terrible year in 2024 and it says total income paid and you wrote down $10,000, there's not a lot of numbers to fill in. But if you've done 15, 20 transactions, or your goal as a new licensee is to do 12 transactions your first year, you have some numbers to write down. So the first number is total income paid. Now that is the commission checks you receive from your company after whatever split you and your broker are on. Number 2 is a hard one. Total business expenses for the year. There are certain expenses, MLS fees, etc., board fees, functions you've attended. Mike Ferry training is a business expense that you've incurred. Approximately how much have you spent? Then number 3, total closed deals. Shouldn't be too hard unless you're doing big numbers to accumulate that. So let's say that you write down you did 15 deals. Total listing appointments. This one is very important because we want to see the strength of your listing presentation and if we have to work on that to improve that for 2025. Total listings taken. So let's say that under total listing appointments that for the year you went on 20. But for the year you took 5 listings, which 5 times you succeeded, 15 times you didn't. Well, your closing percentage is 25%. MFO trained agents that follow an MFO business plan, that follow MFO advice, that are going to our seminars, our workshops, our retreats, and our coaching are going to close 70 to 75%, where this agent closed 25%. This agent lost more money than they earned. So we want to know what number 4 and number 5 are, because you really want to be able to work on improving the quality of the pre-qualifying process, the pre-listing package you're sending out, and of course, most importantly, the listing presentation and handling their objections and questions. Number 6, total listings sold. You took 5, how many sold? Well, only 2. Okay, that means you probably have 3 that either lack the motivation to sell, very common, they were greedy, they wanted to take advantage of the market, or you simply overpriced them, or you cut the commission so low nobody would work on your listings. It's usually one of 3 things. Number 7, buyer sales. How many buyer sales did you have? You know the number, so write it down. Number 8, average sales price. You may have to talk to management about this one, because the company usually has an average sales price. Average commission check that you earned. Then we wrote down average hours worked per week. And this is a big question mark that people say, well, define work. Well, we can define it as going into your home office at 8 o'clock in the morning and working on your files, or putting on your headset and calling some past clients, setting up presentations. You can be doing the same functions at your office. How many hours a week did you work? And then how many present pendings do you have? Or in California, they would say present, how many escrows do you have? Number 12, present inventory. How many listings are you taking from today forward? But then 13 is days worked. That's kind of a fun one, because the average agent shows up, doesn't do anything, and counts it as a day's worked. Only you can decide how you're going to count the days worked. Number 14 is probably the hardest number to accumulate, total hours prospected. There's about 250 work days in the average work year. And let's say that you've committed to prospecting 4 hours a day. But you then start looking at your calendar and realize you really prospected about an hour a day. And you do that 250 days, so 250 hours. And then if you're tracking your numbers carefully, we talked about that in segment A of our 3-part plan, total contacts that you made for the year. So those numbers will take you a few days to put together. They'll tell you a lot about yourself and who you are and what you do. But now here's part 2, production sources, or in essence, where did your business come from? So we wrote down first, past clients. Did you have any? Did you get a transaction or 2 from them? Second, centers of influence. Past client centers of influence, or what's referred to as the database, generally is an agent that's doing more than 10 transactions a year, a major portion of their business. Number 3, for sale by owners. Number 4, expired listings. Number 5, just listed, just sold, knocking on a door or calling somebody on the phone. Number 6, we don't have a lot of control of, which is sign calls coming in. Number 7 is like number 6, ad calls. We're running an ad of some type on social media and or in print news. And number 8, cold calls, which they're way down the list because they're probably getting less effective as we go down the list. Number 9, cold doors. Number 10, open houses. And number 11, other. Is there anything else you did? Because if you can take and source, let's say you did 12 transactions and you had 4 from your past client centers of influence, you had 1 from expireds, 2 from sign calls, 2 from ad calls, well, you're only missing 2. Where did they come from? I don't know. And that happens a lot in real estate. So production sources is vitally important. Part 3 is your production goals for 2025. What income would you like to earn? Stop and think about it for a minute. What income would you like to earn? Number 2, closed deals. How many deals would you like to close for the year? Well, I did 9 last year. I want to do 15 this year. Good. Let me make sure you have a plan to make it happen. Listing appointment goal, listings taken goal, listings sold goal, buyer controlled sales goal, goal for hours you're going to work per week, goal for how many days you're going to work for the year. Tough one, number 9, prospecting goal. You said you had 4 hours in your plan, you did 1. Can we bump the 1 to 2 because you're increasing your transaction goal? And then total contact goal. So part 3 is the actual specific goals you're setting in terms of production. Part 4, the numbers required to make it happen. And there's really 5 numbers that we want you to focus on. Your listing appointments to listing taken goal. Your listing sold goal. Your buyer sales listing sold goal together. Your prospecting per day and your contacts per day. So the first 4 parts are relatively simple, and then we get to probably the most difficult part of a business plan, your daily schedule. And we created a schedule that runs from 7 a.m. in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it runs in 30-minute segments. I don't know what's best for you. I can only tell you what some of the top agents do all the time in terms of a daily schedule, but it's always got some time spent for prospecting, creating business, always some time for lead follow-up, because if you get a lead, they're giving you a huge notice. We want to do something possibly with you. Do follow up on that lead, pre-qualifying, going on presentations, and doing some admin work on the existing transactions. Those 5 activities should be someplace on this daily schedule that you have. The stronger the schedule, the closer you get to following it, the more success you have as an agent. But the last part of the production plan is probably the easiest in terms of the first portion. We'd like you to list any challenges that you feel you have starting into a new year, and then the hard part is writing down a solution. So challenge, I'm spending too much time each day working on my transactions. Solution, learn to delegate to the title company, the mortgage company, the escrow company, to the transaction coordinator in the office. Challenge, I've got too many distractions taking me off my schedule. Solution, maybe spend your first 3 hours of the day working at home in a quiet, work-oriented environment. So there is a solution to every problem that you could possibly have. So this is the business plan. Again, it's 6 pages long. If we take part 1, which was about 20 minutes, part 2, which was about 12, and part 3, which is about 12, investing in this time is the most important thing you can do. That's my phone ringing. That's a client calling. So it's time to say goodbye. Thanks for being part of the business planning process. Talk to you soon.